Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today we're highlighting a case that unfolded in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A story about a woman who was sent to jail for missing a court date. Then 5 days later, she lost her life. It happened behind bars, inside a facility with one of the deadliest mortality records in the country. It all began when her family received a desperate phone call from another inmate, saying their daughter was being beaten and pleading for medical help. When detectives arrived at her loved one's front door, they could not explain what had actually happened to her. This is the story of Maressa Mays. Maressa Ann Mays was 34 years old, a daughter, a mother, and according to her family, someone who had a heart of gold. Her mother, Monica Lafayette, said she would just give and give. She loved everybody. But Maressa's life had been hard. She had spent time in and out of the East Baton Rouge Parish prison, a pre-trial facility where people wait for their day in court. Even so, her family says she was trying to change. She wanted to be a better mom. She wanted a second chance. Maressa also had serious health conditions that required consistent monitoring. Her mother says she had a blood clot in her stomach, she had heart-related issues, and she was living with HIV. All of this was noted in her intake paperwork. The jail was well aware of her medical history. The charges that had put her back in jail stemmed from an incident in 2023. During a trip to the emergency room, she spat on a nurse, which led to battery and intentional exposure to AIDS charges. According to the CDC, HIV cannot be transmitted through saliva, but that charge would follow her for the next 2 years. On July 14th, 2025, a judge sent Maressa Mays to the East Baton Rouge Parish prison for a failure to appear that stemmed from her battery case. What would normally be routine turned tragic. Just 5 days later, on July 19th, she was found unresponsive and later pronounced dead. Just a few days into her stay, her mother had received a phone call that had changed everything. The call came from another inmate inside the East Baton Rouge Parish prison. Monica says the woman told her, "They were beating my child. She was asking for help. She had pain in her chest, and they refused to call the nurse for her." The inmate said deputies were yelling at Maressa, telling her, "Shut up, B," refusing to help her, refusing to get her medical care. According to the family, Maressa had been complaining of severe chest pain, at least the day before she died. And then they believe that, despite those complaints, she never received medical attention she needed. On the morning of July 19th, 2025, Monica heard a knock at her door. When she opened it, 3 homicide detectives were standing outside. They told her that Maressa had passed away. They described how they found her, on her back, her eyes open, her hands drawn towards her chest, as if she had been in pain. When Monica asked what happened, the detectives could only say, "We don't know at this point." But there was something else that left Monica with even more questions. When officers discovered her remains, rigor mortis had already set in, something that generally begins 2 to 6 hours after death. According to publicly stated facility policies, officers are supposed to make rounds every 20 to 30 minutes. So how did Maressa lie there, unnoticed, for hours? When Monica had the chance to see her daughter's body, she noticed Maressa had bruises on her face. Her eyes were swollen. Her fingernails were damaged and torn. To her family, these weren't the signs of a medical emergency. They looked like signs of a struggle. Monica said, "Y'all killed my baby. That's what y'all did. Murdered her. Y'all took her away from here." For her, the proof was right there on her daughter's remains, and nothing made sense. The sheriff's office said Maressa's cause and manner of death could not be determined until full toxicology reports were completed. Those toxicology results showed fentanyl, marijuana, and opioids in her system. But at that time, her death had not been ruled an overdose. By October 2025, the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office said that Maressa had died of a fentanyl overdose. Monica questioned how the drugs got into her daughter's system in the first place. She asked the same questions that so many families in similar cases have asked. She said, "You're in charge of that jail. Who gave her those drugs? What deputies are bringing that stuff in there? That's what I want to know." For the family, the issue wasn't just what was found in her system. It was how it got there and why no one intervened when she begged for help. To understand what happened to Maressa, you have to understand the place where she lost her life. The East Baton Rouge Parish prison has one of the deadliest mortality rates in the country. Between 2012 and 2016, 25 people died inside the facility. In 2012 alone, its mortality rate was 4 times the national average. An investigative report found that many of these deaths could have been prevented with better medical care, mental health resources, and properly trained staff. In 2017, the city contracted a private company, Correct Health, for $5.3 million a year to oversee healthcare inside the jail. But conditions didn't improve. From January 2017 to June 2019, another 17 people died there. And according to a 2023 analysis, at least 59 people have died in custody at this facility since 2012. This is the environment Maressa was booked into, a facility with a long documented history of neglect, abuse, and preventable deaths. In 2025 alone, the same year Maressa passed away, the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office confirmed that at least 4 inmates died while in custody. Maressa was one of them. And just months after her death, in October 2025, another inmate, Keith Brown, also died inside the Parish prison. His family said his body showed severe injuries. His brother said their mother had to sit there 2 hours to look at Keith because she couldn't recognize him. That's how bad they beat him. 2 families, 2 deaths, 2 sets of injuries, and no clear explanations. Maressa's case raises questions that still haven't been answered. Why was she not given medical care when she reported severe chest pain, especially with her documented history of health conditions? How could she have remained unresponsive for hours without anyone even realizing that something was wrong? Why did her body show bruising, swelling, and damaged fingernails? Signs her family believes point to a struggle. And if the sheriff's office says she passed from a fentanyl overdose, how did fentanyl get into a secure jail? These questions have remained a mystery since the day Marissa's family lost her, and they still haven't received answers. Because this case is still under investigation, the sheriff's office has not provided answers about what happened to Maressa during her time in custody. No one has been charged. No one has been held accountable. Her family says they've been left with unanswered questions and no clear explanation. And that's a burden no family should have to carry alone. "We want justice," her father said. "No, she wasn't perfect, but we still want justice. That was our baby." Maressa Mays walked into the East Baton Rouge Parish prison on July 14th, 2025. She was alive. She had a future. She had a daughter who was waiting for her. 5 days later, she was gone. Her family believes she was failed by a system that should have protected her, failed by people who ignored her pleas for help, and failed by a facility with a long history of neglect and preventable deaths. And they're still waiting for someone to tell them the truth. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of Maressa Mays. If you have any information about what happened to her inside the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison, even the smallest detail could help bring clarity to her family. The investigation is ongoing, and her family is still waiting for answers. As we close out this episode, remember that sharing Maressa's story helps to shine more light on her case and support her family in their continued search for the truth. Follow Hunting for Answers for updates on Marissa's case and others like it. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more true crime stories and updates. And if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to share your thoughts on this case in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.